Put some flapjacks between my thighs and call it breakfast. Anyways, so yeah, I want to talk about this. Now, before I begin, I'm not an expert. I've actually never read the comics. I don't really know anything about it, but this is my own personal Walking Dead theory. And I actually have a little bit of proof, so I don't know. But again, I'm an idiot, so take it for what it's worth. Whew. I think the premise of my theory is that Daryl used to be with Negan on some level. Now, I just got the Blu-rays and I made it to Lesbian Island, which I did not care for that episode at all. It was just a complete filler, waste of time. But it introduced more people, whatever. I didn't care for it, and would have rather got back to the actual story that mattered, but whatever. Which I think is mid-disc 2, and there's like 5 discs. I don't know how many. I don't know how many episodes there are. Whatever. I don't know what episode it was, but it was Lesbian Island. So I haven't seen the whole thing yet. But here's why I think Daryl was, and I use the word was, part of Negan. Because I think it was season 3? Whatever, is when Merle came back. And he and Daryl were going in the woods after they had broken off with Rick after they had fucked up the governor. Merle said to Daryl, what's going to happen when your new friends find out the reason we were at the camp that night? And it was to steal from them, which is very Negan. See, because what I think happened was Daryl and Merle were part of Negan, and then he kind of broke away. Now, something else Merle said that was interesting is that, quote-unquote, the governor found him, whatever state he found him in, he wasn't in a good place. And the governor helped him. Now, we assume that's when he chopped off his hand and he was... But that's not necessarily true. I think the governor has a connection to Negan as well. The whistling thing, which is creepy as fuck, and it's great. So I think there may have been a backstory to all of that. Because again, we're led to assume that the governor found him when he chopped off his arm, or his hand, or whatever. And that's what he was talking about. But that's completely implied. That's not even... You don't know. But the whole thing with the governor whistling and then Negan whistling, there's definitely a connection there. So I think that they were all together at some point, or part of the same group, and the governor split off. And obviously Rick recruited Daryl, which I think he was there because he was an asshole at the beginning of it. So I think he was more... But he did come... He's now with Rick's group. So I don't want to imply that he's like a double agent or something, but... Although he could be. There could be a heel turn. Okay. I don't think so. I think he's actually... I think he broke free from the brainwashing of, weird Negan stuff. And I think it's part of the reason he doesn't want to break. He doesn't want Negan to break him again. Sitting in a room with the music and the dog food sandwich, and he's not going to let Negan break him again. Which I think is part of the thing. Or he's just a badass and he doesn't want to, I suppose you could have that, but I think there's a deeper story to it. Also, a little more proof. There's absolutely no reason why Negan killed Glenn. None. When you watch it, Negan was all about, quote-unquote, that look that you're giving me to Rick. And if that's the case, then it applies to everybody. Well, obviously, the kid, he was, he was no trouble. Eugene was no problem. The women were no problem. And Glenn, after he threatened Maggie, he had the look. He was on board. He was on board with Negan. He was going to do whatever Negan wanted. Yet Daryl punches him, and he doesn't do anything to Daryl. He doesn't kill Daryl. Now, I think there's a connection. I think he doesn't kill Daryl because he wants to take him and recruit him again. Because it makes no sense. Because if you look at that scene, the opening scene of season 7, it makes no sense. Now, you could deal with Abe dying, because he basically stood up. And, okay, fine, he dies, which I fucking hate it, because I actually liked his character, and I liked that his character was thinking about, settling down, having kids and stuff, and I hate that they just cut that right off, and Another thing that, just as a side note, pisses me off, is that during that episode, Negan says something, I can't remember what it was, but it was a complete Abe line, and it just, it was like the writer's like, oh, let's throw that little joke in there, and it was like, something like, shuffle my nuts, or whatever, it was something Abe would say, and it just irritated me, but that's neither here nor there. Because again, if you watch that, there is zero reason he didn't kill Daryl. There's no reason to keep Daryl alive. None. Unless there's a backstory. And he, like I said, he wants to recruit him. And break him again. Because Negan did say something to the effect of, I do like you, or I like you, or something. Or I'm beginning to like, or something like that. Like, he said something to that effect. Because Daryl had escaped. And he's surrounded by the guys that are outside, and Negan comes up, and he said something to the effect of, I like you, or, almost like you're going to be a challenge, or, he said something to that effect, and I really am starting to think that Daryl was part of Negan, and I think he did break free of the brainwashing. I think he's, legit with Rick in the group, but I think, because there's a reason. There has to be a reason why he doesn't want to break, other than just hillbilly pride. Okay, I don't know. But now, if you throw in Negan with the governor, maybe they had a falling out or something, or they just sort of stayed out of each other's, or they were, they're probably together on some level, because you don't know. Because if Negan is big as it is, how did the governor come to be? Maybe he was giving them half the stuff. Who knows? But I don't think that, I don't know about that, because the governor was kind of doing the same stuff too, just going out and just taking stuff. It was the same mindset. So I think they were in cahoots together on some level. Maybe not together, but I think they were, I don't think the governor was necessarily giving Negan's group a bunch of stuff, but I think they were kind of, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, I don't know, but I think there was definitely a connection. Because there had to be. Because again, if Negan is as big as it supposedly is, and there's these little splinter faction groups everywhere, there's no way that that town could survive. Now, Alexandria survived because it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, nobody knew about it. Or if they did know about it, it wasn't anything of any importance yet. Or something, I don't know. Because probably what they would do is they would let the little villages raise up, and once they became sustainable, then you come in and, okay, now tap your shit. Because obviously what good's a couple little campfires and tents, what are they going to do? They're not going to get you nothing. So, I don't know. But there's definitely a connection. There's that whistling thing, and it's just, It was just weird, especially when he's going after Andrea and shit. That was just weird. And then you see them doing it in the woods. So I definitely think there's a connection there, and I definitely think there was a connection. I think Negan and the governor were together at one point. Now again, I don't know if this is canon or anything like this, but you could definitely, maybe it's more fan fiction. I don't know, but you could definitely see them like in cahoots together, and maybe they picked up Daryl and Merle at some point in quote unquote a bad place. I mean, maybe they were trapped and there was a bunch of zombies or something they couldn't get out, or something, or they were whatever. I don't know. But you could definitely see something like that happening. And then over time, Daryl kind of broke free of or maybe he's a double agent. Who knows? I mean, he could be. You don't know. I don't think so. I hope they don't go there. But I think there's definitely some proof that there's a connection between everybody. Because again, there was zero reason for him to kill Glenn. Glenn was on board. Glenn would have done anything to save Maggie. So he's not going to kill Maggie. He's not going to kill the kid. What the hell's his name? I can't think of his real name, Chandler, or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever, the one-eyed kid. You know who I'm talking about. Shit, what's this name? Coral, that's right, Coral. Duh. Whatever. So you got Coral sitting there. He's just a kid. He's not gonna, he might be a little headstrong, but he's controllable. Eugene was controllable. All the women controllable. The one that had to be controlled was the leader, who was Rick. Because let's be honest, if Negan killed Michonne or Coral, then guess what? Rick is not going to be on board. Rick's going to be like, fuck you, you're going to have to kill me. So he'd have to kill him, basically. So there would be no, get your people in line, give me half your shit. It wouldn't have worked. Now, Abe was a perfect opportunity to kill somebody. Now, again, if he didn't know Daryl, why did he just let Daryl punch him in the face? And maybe there's a backstory to that too, because we think it's because he's picking on, the different people and what's her face. We think he had just enough. Maybe there's a deeper thing. I don't know. I don't know. There could definitely very well be some sort of connection between them all. Is what I'm saying. Now again, whether it's canon or whether it was, but there's a potential there, at least from the movies or the show's episodes. There's potential to be something bigger there, because it would be awesome if that's the case. I mean, think about that. What's the point of the Negan group? You go and what he said numerous times. If you can't, you do what you have to do to make up the ends meet. Basically, if you got to steal, whatever. And what did they do? They were going there to steal. Now we're thinking of it like some sort of Republican Donald Trump kind of view, where it's like, oh, there's just a bunch of hillbilly thugs and they're just gonna, steal and plunder and whatnot and loot. Okay. But that's kind of petty. That's kind of, especially in the, and especially these guys, they eat roadkill. So it's not like, oh, gee, I need to steal your TV set, or I need to steal, your backpack full of, nothing. I mean, that seems very petty. Or if they're doing it to survive because Negan's going to kill them, that would make sense. So they end up going to the camp to steal, and they end up getting caught up with the camp. And then after a while, they sort of broke free of the brain. I don't know. I think that could definitely work. It definitely could make sense. I mean, it makes sense, I think. Because again, why did he not kill Glenn? Or why did he kill Glenn? I said, and why did he not kill Daryl? Because Daryl's the one who punched him. And he said he's going to shut that shit down. There was no rhyme or reason for letting Daryl live. None. Unless there was a connection there. I don't know. Or they could have had some sort of connection where maybe there's a connection between Merle, the governor, and the governor too. I mean, we're talking like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. I mean, I'm sure he's in there somewhere too. But so maybe Daryl didn't have any part of it, but Merle probably did. And then what? Because think about it. What did Merle do after he chopped off his hand? He went back to the governor because he had a kinship with the governor from a past episode or a past story that maybe hasn't been told yet. Now think about that. Because again, they make it seem like, okay, he chopped off his hand and he's just wandering aimlessly and the governor finds him. And it's like, oh, let me help you. Okay, that's the way it's meant to seem. But that, trust me, when's the last time anything... seriously, how many swerves have they pulled? Glenn was supposed to be dead under the dumpster that one time. So you telling me this they couldn't swerve something like that? I mean, really? But, hey, whatever. So again, just to recap, there may not have been a connection with Daryl, like Daryl was brainwashed per se, but if there's a connection between, obviously the connection between Daryl and Merle, maybe then there was definitely a connection between Merle and the governor. Now, was it pre-Atlanta or post-Atlanta, the hand chop off? If it was pre-Atlanta, then guess what? It all makes sense. They had some sort of kinship before. Maybe it was just Governor Merle. Maybe Daryl was... Because Daryl's going to do whatever his brother wants. So, again, he would be the equivalent of Rick. You get the leader in charge, and then the others follow. So, maybe Daryl was just kind of going along, going with the flow. Or he was complicit. I don't know specifically. I mean, it could go either way. But if you connect Daryl with Governor, and Governor with the whistling and shit too, and like I said, there's no way that town, the governor's town, is going to survive if Negan is as big as it is. They're gonna notice that. I mean, it depends on how widespread they are too. I mean, is it just the local area? I'm not sure where they are right now, geographically, but is it just that area? Now, it would seem like, and as they stated, that Negan is a huge group that's got little splinter cells all over the place. So, how far have they spread? Who knows? Maybe they weren't in that area. Maybe they weren't down there, but why wouldn't they be down there? I don't know. Because after a while, supplies are going to run low, so you're going to have to spread out further and further. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there as a theory. My personal theory. So, which I think is kind of cool, actually. I think it'd be a great fucking story, I'll tell you that much. I didn't think about it. First, if they could bring Merle back. Dude, I fucking love Merle. I absolutely I love that fucking character. When he's sitting in the car and he's drinking, and the zombies at the window, and he kind of tips the bottle and it starts to laugh, that is hysterically funny. And I love that he had his redemption moment. He came to Jesus kind of a moment. I absolutely love the character. I wish they'd bring him back. I don't know how, but I wish they'd bring him back on some level. Like, tell a backstory. They could tell. Seriously, they could tell this story. This would be a great story, I think. This would be a great addition. Now, again, I don't know if it would play with the comics and all that stuff. But, anyways, just as a side note here, I don't know how I'm feeling about Season 7 right now. I don't know how I feel about it. I knew, because when the first episode was airing, because I didn't have cable or anything like that, so I had to kind of bootleg it off the internet and watch it live I was kind of creeped out. I was kind of freaked out, like, holy shit, who are they going to kill, blah, blah, blah. Watching it now, it's like I didn't really care. It didn't have the same emotional impact. But it was also good because I could enjoy Negan being just being a bastard. Because it's one of those things, once you know the outcome, you can kind of go back and watch it and be like the governor, you get a new appreciation for the governor. When he's being an asshole day to day, episode to episode, commercial to commercial, you're like, holy shit, fuck this guy. But then you can kind of go back and say, this guy's really kind of cool, you know? So I got to experience both ends of it, but I kind of like the, like, holy shit, what's going to happen moment. Because it actually was a very emotional thing. I mean, it really was. Like, who are they going to kill? Who's it going to be, kind of a deal. I am a little disappointed that they went a little too predictable. And the way it was set up, it was practical. Abe was the one to go, and based upon the comic, Glenn had to go. Which, it's like, I get it, but they could have done something else. I really liked Abe's character. I wish they hadn't killed him off. Because I kind of wish the shows would be a little bit more different than the comics, which they are to a degree, but they don't have to follow every single beat exactly. Like, I'm glad they didn't cut off Rick's hand. I'm glad they haven't done that yet. I hope they don't do that. 'Cause I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Now, obviously, they're doing it for practical, reasons, because it costs too much money to cut out his hand every single frame. But I don't know. I hope they don't do it. Because one of the problems that I'm having with this show is there's no upside. There's no, we're going to get through this moment. Now, yeah, they got to Alexandria. They're behind the wall. They were at the prison. They had a little bit of safety. But there's still that whole... Basically, I really wish the series, both comic and show, would find a cure for the disease. So that they could stop the zombie apocalypse from continuing, at least snowballing. So, like, for example, what happened in the prison when the kid died in the shower and he turned into a fucking zombie, then wreaked havoc and killed everybody? Okay, I wish they would take that off the table or something. Throw the viewer a little bit of a bone where it's like, okay, there's at least that. There's at least some upside. Because think about this. Like, if we're talking like multiple universes and the multiverse and stuff, in this particular universe where there's fucking zombies and shit, like legit zombies, it just feels out of place. It doesn't feel natural. Like, could this really happen? Now, actually, speaking of that, this is more of a side note to the side note. The video game Last of Us had a zombie thing where there was... I forgot what it's called, but there's like some sort of mold. And the game was based upon a real-life scenario, a real-life situation, where this mold, or whatever the hell it is, it interacts with, I think, ants or something, and it grows these like weird antenna horns or shit coming off them, and they become basically like clones, and they're not acting on their own. So there's a legitimate, quote unquote zombie legitimacy. There's like a legitimate I forgot what it's called. I mean, it's an actual thing. Damn, I wish I could remember what it was called. Whatever. But there is actual sort of kind of zombie-esque virus out there. Or not virus, but like whatever you want to call it. So I kind of wish they'd go... Because one thing they did add to the show that I really liked is they did the whole GDC thing, whatever the hell it was. Whatever that was, when they went into Atlanta and they met that doctor. I like that because that's part of the legitimacy of making it seem real. And I wish they would just come up with, like, I'm sorry, if it was something like that, you would have people working 24/7. Now, granted, I know most of these people aren't, into that kind of genetic science type stuff, but, you got to have somebody sitting in, Eugene or somebody sitting in the back doing something, with a fucking microscope or something. They got to be doing something. No, granted, I understand that it's kind of backwater and they don't really have the technical know-how, much less the technical equipment, but I don't know, it just seems like there's somebody somewhere, you'd have somebody like, you're just sitting here all day thinking, how do we fix this? I mean, that just seems like something you do, especially some of the more well-off groups, like Negan. Now, Negan don't give a fuck, but I mean, there's got to be other groups out there. So, I don't know. Because they were kind of experimenting with scientific stuff with the governor. And that kind of thing. So, why isn't there somebody just sitting there thinking, okay, how do we correct this? But again, I think if they threw the viewer a bone and be like, okay, there's some hope. There's a potential cure. Excuse me. Or something to that effect, it would definitely go a long way, because you can't. It's just, think about the scenario in which they're living. Think about that. I mean, just for a second, it's not practical. It's just, you're constantly being beat down, and it gets to the point where it's like you're more interested in the interpersonal relationships of everybody than you are the actual scenario. So to draw the people back in, you got to give them a little something. And I think that would be, I think the perfect example would be to basically cure it. Or maybe prolong it or something, so instead of, like, if somebody died, they didn't turn in like 5, 6, 8 hours, whatever it was. I think it's different for each person. Maybe you could prolong it for a certain amount of time, or something. Just give a little something, a little ray of hope, where it's like, okay, if we can make the disease not kick in for, let's say, 2 days, like 48 hours or some shit. Okay, maybe there's a way to cure it completely and make it not come back at all. Something, anything. Just a little bit of step forward instead of this constant, 1 step forward, 27 back. But whatever. Anyway, that's my theory. I'm sticking to it. So, like I said, I definitely think there's some legitimacy to what I'm saying. And back to the thing again. Not necessarily that Daryl is part of it per se, although he might very well be. I mean, I suppose, like I said, he could be a double agent, but I don't think so. I don't know. I hope that if they ever did go this route, I hope they don't go this route, where he's a double agent, where it's like, oh, Rick, I've been playing you all these years. They're not going to do that. I hope not. But again, if you look at how it played out, Daryl would follow his brother. Daryl left Rick to follow his brother. So he is definitely pliable. He's definitely manipulated. You can manipulate him. Or could. Now his brother's gone. Probably not. But so if Negan with Governor had Merle under control, like I said, Daryl's coming along, so maybe Negan is like, oh, hey, no, I see him as a challenge, because now the brother's gone and he's got nobody. Because again, why did he keep him alive? It does not make sense. He kept Daryl alive but killed Glenn. That makes no sense at all. None. I And even if you're going with a comic book, the way it played out, it makes no sense. None. Now, I know that Daryl's not in the actual comic book or whatever. So as far as the punch, obviously they wrote it for just the show. So, because it's, I mean, technically the show, it's like an alternate reality of the alternate reality of the comic book. Which, you know, it's kind of cool. I can deal with it, because some things are just not going to play out, and some things are going to play out. So it's a different, you got to play up the media. You know, like with the comic books, you want to see the scary faces, and you want to see the thing, and Rick without the hand. It makes sense. But in the show, I mean, we're not talking just budget here. We're talking just practicality of it all. But because they had a couple moments where Negan's got Rick in the little bus there, talking about your right hand man and blah blah blah. I half expected him to take that axe and just chop his fucking hand off, and I'm really glad they didn't, because you're expecting it. You know, that's why I wish they hadn't killed Abe, and I kind of wish they hadn't killed Glenn, or maybe they had done something different, like they killed Sasha or something, because nobody cares about her. Nobody cares about her at all. You know, I hate to say that, but her character's just kind of duh, you know? At least with Abe, he was likable. Especially the one-liners and stuff, like, you know, Born to Bisquick and all that stuff. You know, I want more of that. I like that character. And of course, everybody loved Glenn. I will say, so far, within the first, 7 or 8 episodes, those two characters are sorely missed. I mean, they need to replenish the stock, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that, because, yeah, it's like they left huge holes. They just huge freaking gaps where they used to be. But, yeah. So anyways, now I'm really hoping that the series, because I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but I'm hoping it doesn't end on a really stupid-ass cliffhanger like the season before did. And so far, I don't want to say I'm not enjoying the series, or the season, but it's definitely not my favorite season so far. Especially Lesbian Island, that whole episode I didn't give 2 fucks about. I mean, I really couldn't care. I really couldn't freaking care about her rolling around, her big tits flapping, just as she runs. Now, the little island girl, she was kind of cute. I hope they make her a mainstay. You got Lesbian Island, and it's like, whatever. I didn't care. I didn't care. I really, genuinely didn't care about that episode at all. It was a filler episode, and it was just, ugh. Especially when you got, like, Carol in the Kingdom, and you got Negan, and you got Daryl, and you got, you know, Rick being a pussy. He's whipped. I just didn't care. I really didn't care at all. But whatever. So hopefully, I hope the season picks up, because it started strong and now it's just kind of like, oh fuck. Now I understand they have to take a while to solidify Negan's authority. I get that. So he's got to come in, take half their shit, take the beds, burn them. I get it. So they're going to have to play that up for a little bit longer. And they should. Now, the problem is, if we're being realistic, and again, I haven't seen it, you have to find a common ground. You have to find a middle ground. Because it's like, if you play that up too much, then it just becomes okay? Because one of the great things about Rick is that he has moments where he just goes to that place, and it's just, shit's gonna go, shit's going down. Like that time they were out in the out on the roadside, and those biker guys were gonna basically rape Carl. And Rick is like, fuck that shit, and he goes up and bites the dude, rips off half his face, and it just completely goes ham on everybody. Or the time when Coral got shot in the eye, and he goes out and takes out the whole town of zombies. He goes to that place, and you want him to go to that place. And especially with Negan, you want him, because this is going to be a great confrontation, either way. This is going to be amazing. Or at least, it's got the potential to be, whether they pull it off or not, that's a whole other story. Because I think, from what I know, now again, if you've seen it, obviously you know, but I think it leads up to the next few episodes are going to be them corralling everybody together and be like, hey, we need to fight and blah, blah, blah. And then I think they're going to go to war next season. Which, I don't know how I feel, because I don't want to drag out this whole Negan thing very far, but I know they have to, because I know a little bit about the comics, but and I don't want to kill Negan off outright. It's like the Governor. I didn't want to kill him off outright. I still want him to be a major player, or at least, it's kind of, he's kind of, I would equate him to be like Magneto, or it's like you don't want to kill him off. You want him to come back, in a year and try again, kind of a deal. You know what I mean? But although I do think they handled the Governor's death decent, because at that moment, shit had definitely been pushed to the wall. He had to die. He did. Even though I love the Governor character, he had to go. Especially after what's his name, the old guy there, whatever, one leg. Yeah, that too. This series, it definitely had some moments where it's like, holy shit, did they actually go there? Yes, they did. So, and they definitely got potential with the Negan, because Negan and Rick are going to have to go at it. Now, I could maybe, just barely maybe, get behind their final confrontation whenever that happens, where Rick loses his hand. If he does that in that moment, I could maybe deal with it, because there'd have to be some sort of consequence. There has to be some sort of lasting thing that takes place from this, like a reminder. And what better reminder than Rick losing a hand? So I could definitely see that. I could see him losing his hand there. I hope it's not just, it's my axe, I am Negan, chop. I hope it's not just something like that, because they could have done that in the bus at the first episode. And I'm glad they didn't, because it keeps you on your toes. So you're like, oh my god, he's going to take his hand, oh my god. And then he doesn't, and you're like, oh good. And then, so it's definitely interesting storytelling when you think about it like that. But like I said, the final confrontation is going to have to be a major, issue. Something's going to have to take place, and that would be the ideal time to take his hand, I think, if you're going to go that route. And again, I almost prefer they didn't. Just, I don't know. It's like I don't want to see him lose his hand. I just don't. I mean, I get that you'll cope and all that stuff, but. Dude, I'm telling you right now, they have these little knives, and you're like, oh, I'm going to take this little penknife and bloop, bloop, shove it up your nose, bloop, bloop. No. Dude, I'm sorry. I would have, like, a 10-foot fucking pole with, like, machetes strapped to the damn thing, and ninja swords and shit, and I'd be wheeling that fucker around all day. Okay, I'd be sitting there just wheeling that fucker around. Okay, I'm not going to be sitting there with this little putty knife and a bloop, bloop, bloop. No. Fuck that shit. Like, Merle had the right idea. You lose your... Dude, if I lost my arm, I'm strapping on, like, Wolverine claws. Okay, that's all I got to say on this shit. Okay, something. I mean, Merle had the right idea. Or you like Bayonetta have like the guns in the shoes, the guns in the bottom of the boots there, and you just kind of lift your leg and pew pew, whatever. But yeah, I miss Merle, dude. I love that character. I don't know what it is about him. Because again, it's one of those things where it's like he's such an asshole, and you're going day to day, week to week, moment to moment. You're like, oh, this fucker. I wish he died. I wish he died. Blah blah blah. And then you actually see how it all plays out, and you're like, you go back and watch it, and it's like, it's just really great. You know, you want to see him act it out. You want to see just the little smirks he does, and the little things he does, and the things he says, and like again, while he was fucking around with Glenn and Maggie at the outpost at the town there, you're thinking this guy's a piece of shit. Hope he dies. Hope somebody shoots him. Hope Glenn gets away and kills him. You know, then you go back and watch it, and you're like, oh, that's just a really great scene right there. That's really great, and it's just that part of it's fun. It's definitely a series that it's fun to go back and watch that because you get a different perspective the second time. Because again, the day to day, week to week, and I'll tell you one thing. Holy shit, I could not watch this show on regular TV ever. I cannot watch any of this shit on regular TV anymore. I will every single time wait for the Blu-ray to come out. And I will binge watch that shit. Now, I would have watched a couple episodes last night, but Destiny 2 came out, and I want to get back into it. And I'll probably be doing it for a while. So, now I'm going to post this to YouTube, but you know I'm talking to you. So, basically you can catch up. I left off at Lesbian Island, so catch up, watch up to there, and then, you know, watch them around the same time. So, whatever. Which, I don't know, I want to say 6 or 7. I don't know how many are on each disc. I went through the first, I'm on mid-disc 2, I believe. I think there might be another episode, maybe 2. And that's assuming they're around 4 each disc. I don't know how many there are, but Lesbian, you know the one, Lesbian Island. I call it Lesbian Island because you got the lesbian and you got all the women and whatever. The old Amazon tribe there, whatever the hell it was. And I'll probably take a couple days off because I'm still doing Destiny and shit. But yeah, I mean, collectively, I love the series. I gotta be honest with you. One thing, I always feel bad for the horses. I don't know whether it's just seeing Cousin Cindy's horses out there, you know, like when Rick rode the horse in, and all of a sudden the horse is like, hey, and he like knees back, and it's like, and then they just devour it. It's like, oh jeez, oh come on, man. I wish they'd find some dogs and shit too, like other animals. Seeing, because there was a couple places like the Kingdom and stuff where they had goats and whatnot and cows and shit. So to see some animals still alive is kind of cool. But I'd like to see other animals too. Because, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I mean, dogs could survive, I think, on some level. They have to. They could outrun the zombies. Zombies aren't that fast. Now they get cornered, obviously, but because like animals can get into stuff where the zombies they get stuck on the fence and shit, and the dog can just slip underneath the fence. So they could survive. There has to be like packs of wild animals out there somewhere. I did like, speaking of wild animals, holy shit, I did like the whole thing with the pigs. Where they're rooting the pigs around town, eating the fucking zombies, and feeding them to Negan. I have to admit, that was kind of brilliant. That just the vindictiveness of it. Like, I was thinking to myself, okay, if you're taking half the shit, why don't you poison something and kill half of them? Because think about that. That would put a little wrinkle in your little giddy up there, because you're taking stuff and you don't know which is poisoned and which isn't. I mean, think about that. No, they would probably just wipe out the whole group, you know, because you can't, you're doing shit like that, you can't trust them. So you're going to have to wipe them all out because they're going to be worthless. Because if you can't determine what's what, I don't know. But that would be an interesting thing to see play out. Anyways, I let the dog in and I want to go back to Destiny. So, yeah, that's my theory. Maybe I'll do another clip. Maybe I'll do another clip about the series, like, collectively. No, actually, one more thing I want to talk about. The revolving door of cast and characters. Holy shit. When I think about Shane in the farm, holy crap, that was like a lifetime ago. I mean, seriously. That was a freaking... When you think about Atlanta and you think about the little camp, I do love how they went from this base camp to the prison, or to the farm, and then to the prison, and then to the town. It's like, you definitely see each one of them evolving and growing, almost like an RPG kind of a thing. Like, it just, one step better. And I really like that. I like that almost progression. But again, the revolving cast members. Holy shit, dude. Again, just the idea of Dale and all those guys, that was like a lifetime ago. That feels like it was a million years ago. I don't know. Now, I will say, I don't know how I feel about the episode numbering, like the number of episodes, because if you watch the first episode, and I noticed this with a lot of, I think Breaking Bad was at the beginning, maybe Call Saul, some of those that have really short, like 8 episode. It's weird because like I watch those and it's like I feel like I've gotten the full experience without having to sit there for 22 episodes or 24 episodes. And it's kind of weird because the 24 ones, there's definitely a couple fillers. And I know there's quite a few episodes in this particular season, and Lesbian Island was one of those fillers. So, I like more, but less if it's condensed and done properly. And there's like a definitive beginning and definitive end of the season, or at least I think those are very satisfying, believe it or not. The eight episode issues, I think those are great. But again, I still, like, if I'm going to pay $40 for a freaking DVD set or Blu-ray set, I want more than 8 episodes, And especially if the shit's profitable, they're going to make more episodes. So, But I like the way they do it, because you start off with the plot, and you start off with the first season, and it's 8 episodes. And now, I personally would rather see them do 8 episodes, and if it goes well, extend it, and maybe do 16 and do another 8. So on and so forth, like that. Like, break it up into 2, like one season into 2 sections or something. Instead of, well, okay, that was season 1, and here's 8 more, that's season 2, and here's 13 more, here's season 3, and here's 20 more. I don't like that, because I don't know. I feel like I mean, seriously, you look back, you were definitely cheated out of episodes. You were. There's only 8 of them, but the experience was good. But you're still missing episodes. There's still stories that could have been told. There's still things that could have been done. And especially when you're paying for the shit, like, you're actually, like, I buy them because I want to have the whole collection. Like, I've got The Walking Dead, I've got the entire collection of House, Fringe, Prison Break. I put those in the collection. The only ones I haven't kept up with is Better Call Saul. I got to get season 2. That one's another one I like too. And it's weird because Better Call Saul was a very strange set of episodes. Like, there was an entire show where he is literally just getting up and getting coffee. But I was engaged. I was intrigued by it. I don't know what it was. Like, they did a full fucking montage for, like, almost the entire episode of him just doing the same mundane shit every single day. And for some odd freaking reason, that shit worked. I don't know if I can watch every episode like that or, ever see it again in any other series, but I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that shit too. I gotta watch season 1 of that again. I want to get season 2 at some point. And then I gotta get Gotham season 3. I got 1 and 2, and I got the Flash season 3 when that comes out. I actually like those. Flash and Gotham are my 2 favorite DC ones right now. The Heroes of Tomorrow, I don't really care. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like it. I mean, I watch it. It's on Netflix, so I was like, what the fuck? But whatever. Supergirl, I didn't care for. That not doing anything for me. But whatever. Anyways, back to the point. The point is, this clip is done. So fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Ah!